doing, Mr. Nichols? This is Casey, man. First, I wanted to apologize if anything's been said that was personal. You know, I don't think you and I know each other enough to be personal. And so I just wanted to apologize for that. You know, if anything came off too hard, if I said anything that was too rough sounding, you know, it's not that, because, you know, frankly, we're just talking about politics. So anything got nothing to do with, you know, you and I. But anyway, I figured I would send you this short video because I don't have time to type all that stuff, but I don't think you want to go back and forth typing stuff. So what I do is I'm going to start from the top and give you the information, and then you can go research it for yourself. Okay? Beginning back in during Trump's first term, his first term before Biden came in, Trump had the lowest immigration rates with crossings up until that point, because he had put executive orders in place to shut down the border. That was during his first term. All right, so we come up into 2020 and Biden gets elected. Within his first 100 days, he went and revoked Trump's border closing executive orders. And that is what opened the border up during his administration. What I'll do is I'll link you to the actual executive orders so you can see them for yourself, so you don't just think I'm lying. So anyway, so in 2018, Trump had executive orders in place that closed the border, and they had very, very low border crossings. 2020, within the first 100 days, Biden comes in, he revokes those executive orders with executive orders of his own, and they removed Trump's, and that opened the border back up. And then we started having the crossings. Well, that was in 20. All the while, Texas and all these other states that are around the water and near bordering Mexico were complaining. Arizona, you know, all these were complaining about the high immigrants that were coming across the borders. And Biden and Kamala said there was no problem, the border was closed. They did that from 2020 to, I believe, 2022, when the governor of Texas, remember that, when he sent all them about 50 immigrants to Kamala's house right before Christmas in 2022. And it wasn't until that time when it was undeniable, because they had these immigrants sitting in front of Kamala Harris's house in DC. And I'll send you a link for that too, in case you forgot it. And that's when she finally acknowledged there was an issue at the border. So for 2 years, they said that the border was secure, even though Governor Abbott and people like that on the states that bordered Mexico were complaining the whole time about the border being too open. So then we move on to 23, and now, because the American people, like in Chicago and New York and Philadelphia and Ohio, all these sanctuary states were complaining about the immigrants that were coming in and that they were getting preferential treatment, and it wasn't looking good because American citizens were complaining, and so they couldn't hide it anymore. That's when Kamala and Biden started to talk about the border being more secure and how they were going to shut it down, because it became unpopular for them to continue as they were. So they go on and they start complaining, and finally 2024, I believe in March, Biden put together a bill that was supposed to shut down the border. Now, keep in mind, Biden opened the border with his executive orders in 2020. Right before the election in November 2024, he puts a bill in place to close the border in March 2024. Why didn't he do that 4 years earlier, or just go back and revoke the executive orders that he opened, right? But instead, he waits till March because it's becoming unpopular with the people with the immigration situation. Well, the bill was full of all sorts of stuff that wasn't just about the border. There was all sorts of payments that were going out for, you know, scientific experiments on bugs and all that kind of stuff. And you can see the bill online for yourself. And that's what the Republicans rejected, because they wanted to also not only deal with the border, but it had all sorts of other entities that were being paid out in the bill. So they rejected it. The left-wing leaning media went about saying that Trump got with his cronies and they told them to reject the border bill. What kind of sense does that make when Trump's executive orders closed the border when he was on his term, and it was Biden's executive orders that opened it? So how is it that Trump's going to say, oh no, you want the border to stay open when his executive orders actually had it closed? But again, I'm going to show you the executive orders so you can see them for yourself, right? So that's what the media did. They made it seem like it was Trump that blocked it, when Trump had no ability to block it because he did not hold any office. It was the Republicans that actually read the bill that blocked it. Biden goes off, so they do another political stunt, and he signs an executive order, I think in June of 2024. But it didn't do anything because all it really did was put up protections, but it didn't allocate anything. And so that's why it didn't do anything. And even the critics were saying that it was just a useless executive order that looked good but had no evidence, no meat to it. Finally, Trump gets elected in November. The biggest thing he ran on was he was going to close the border. He said that his whole time while he was out doing his campaigning, that one of the main things was closing the border. Within 3 weeks of being in office, the border's been closed with executive orders. So, what am I getting at? First and foremost, Trump already had executive orders with the border closed with his term. Biden came through in 2020 and opened the border with his executive orders overturning Trump's rules, executive orders. Then Biden made a show of everything and kept blaming Trump for 3 years, when all he had to do was make an executive order of his own to close the border. How do we know that? Because that's what Trump did in January. He reinstated executive orders that he had put in place, and he added 3 more. And I'll put them on a link for you to see as well. So if Biden really wanted the border closed, all he had to do was do executive order at any time during his 4-year term. But instead he blamed Trump and the Republicans. You see? And not only, that's what you call lying, because he put executive orders in place that overrode Trump's executive orders. That's why I say what you said didn't make much sense, because the first thing Trump did was put executive orders in place to close the border. If he didn't want the border closed, he never would have did that, especially so early in his term. 3 weeks. So anyway, I'll put links to the executive orders and you can see them for yourself. I'll give you the links to Kamala with the migrants and all that kind of stuff. I'll give you links to Biden's executive orders that were overturned in, I think, March 2024. All the while knowing he put orders in place that opened the border, but he acted like nothing was done, right? That's what you call lying. And the left media, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, all those perpetuated the same lie. You had to go to Fox, OAN, Sky News Network, Europe, anywhere out of the country to get the true news, right? But the stuff that we were being told was all lies, you see? And it's all documented. So I'm going to send you the documentation, do with it what you will, but that's what I was talking about. I didn't understand how you can say what you said, because the first thing Trump did was close the border. All right, I'll catch you later. Have a good one, man, and keep doing the good work that you're doing with all the kids. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.